Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome for the last time in 2023 to the Insight Fantasy Sport Podcast, AFL edition. We are going live because it's nearly finals time. It's nearly bounced down between Melbourne and the Collingwood Magpies for finals round kickoff. I'm the Supercoach Hawk and Rob Kennedy sitting here with my good friend, the big horse, Mickey Dell. How are you, buddy?
Hey, mate. It's good to talk footy again. It's September. It's pissing rain outside. It's windy as fuck. It's finals footy. Let's get amongst it.
I love it. Isn't it funny how, to everyone, like, if you're listening this time, welcome. Chuck some comments in. Get involved. We're here for everybody to start listening, start commenting. This could go anywhere, this journey, but we'll definitely stop before the bounce down because I'm going to get over there and listen. I love finals time because isn't it funny how just so quickly all of a sudden everyone's on Melbourne? Collingwood's been top of the table all year long. Yep. You get a bit of rain and a bit of hail, and all of a sudden the D's are the favourites versus the Pies in a lot of people's eyes. Are they favourites in your eyes?
I think they are. Collingwood came in last 4 or 5 games of the season really scratchy. They only won one or two games their last 5. It's wet. For some unbeknown reason, they've dropped Noble and held on to Cameron and Cox, even though, as we said before, it's pissing rain, it's windy, it's shit house. I see Melbourne winning this. Yeah.
I love the comments. We're getting them already in there. It's good to see our good mate Phil not emotionally ready for the Hawk and the big horse to be split up. You know what? We will be technically split up. You'll be you're moving on to mate. Tell everybody what you're moving on to.
Oh, so we're doing some 2K League stuff. So we've been heavily involved with the NBA 2K scene so far, and the new game drops tonight. So we'll be giving people a first-hand look at esports. Yep, that's the one, Robbie. Esports in Australia. So we've interviewed 3 people who are top players in our league. More interviews to come. But out of that, there are players in there that have played in the States. So Australia and New Zealand have a really competitive server, and I guess it's important for us to show the world what the Aussies and the Kiwis have to offer. So we've got that. We've got some Big Bash League coming up. Yourself and Matrix, mate, with the NBL. That's exciting.
Yeah. NBL Supercoach. We've already recorded 2 episodes. They're already out there. Jump on board. Supercoach NBL is going absolutely ballistic. I'm loving it. I'm loving the banter, the chat, the following that we're already getting. So, yeah, get behind us. Nothing stops when it comes to Inside Fantasy Sport or the Inside Sport Podcast Network. We're bringing you all the NBA, BBL, NBL. Look, there's even some small rumors that maybe tennis may come in, so people can jump in and have a chat to us on whether they want to hear a little bit about Grand Slams and what's going on in the tennis world. But look, we never split up, mate. We're never too far away, Phil. And as he knows, jump on our Discord, get in there and have a chat. It's free to join. We've got over 100 people in there talking sport nonstop, 24/7 at us, and we'll jump in that chat with you anytime. Mate, it goes without saying, but to the Standard Squeeze, make sure everybody get on board with the Standard Squeeze. They've been a supporter of ours for quite some time now, and we thank them for everything they've done and every prize that they've given out to all our listeners. Make sure you jump on, use the promo code INSIGHT15 and get 15% off all their products. And also to Astute Newstead, Ryan Hammond out there. If you're looking for some brokerage and some financial support, make sure you go to Ryan at Astute in Newstead. Tell him the boys from Insight sent you, and he will take care of all your financial needs. Mate, we are going to talk footy today, and it's weird because normally we talk Supercoach 24/7, but that's over. Yeah, I finished just inside the top 10. Did you got close? I think you got close.
Just outside, yeah. So for both of us, it was a massive recovery effort from the start of the season.
It's a mini tap on the back because from where we started to where we ended, I'm actually quite proud. I won't mention names, but we did have people that at some point got inside the top 1% and actually ended up falling behind where you and I finished, which was nice. I'll take that as a little mini win. So it shows we knew at least what we were talking about. We just got maybe a little bit too carried away and excited at the start. But that's where I want to take us to. I'm going to ask you the first question, and we're going to get into the games, who we think is going to win, and all those types of things. But we do need to keep talking Supercoach a little bit here. Who was your biggest bust pickup in the first round?
Isaac Cumming, 100%. He was terrible. When I think back, and I started off with a back line of Bailey Dale, Sam Doherty, Isaac Cumming. I think I ended up trading out nearly all of my backline. It was just fucking ordinary. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, there were two killers back there, and you just mentioned one of them because I started with Bailey Dale and Angus Brayshaw, and both of them actually didn't end up too bad. They just had very different roles to start the season. They moved more into the roles that we thought they would when we picked them up early. My big bust was Ben Cunnington. And the things I had to do to get Ben Cunnington into that forward line meant not even having Sheasel round one and things like that, which absolutely killed the balance. And I had to fix that. And it took quite a bit to fix it too. So, yeah, for me, Ben Cunnington was definitely my bust for round one. And Isaac Cumming, gee, we kind of look back now and go, really? Isaac Cumming wasn't a bad call. I didn't mind it. It just didn't come through at all.
No, not yeah, fuck. Won't be making that mistake again. But you know what?
Oh.
We've got old mate in the chat. The big horse
like
is in good hands. The reason for that is Nath will be our co-host on the Big Bash League podcast. And underneath, a man that cannot be forgotten. If there's one other man that can live 7-Elevens apart from LDU, it's this bloke, Justin Herbert. Brody Grundy, what a call. Herbie, he's been dog shit, mate. He's off to Port Adelaide. It's pretty much out in the papers now. I'll pick him next year because the 3 games that he played without Gawn, he averaged 121. And he's going to be priced at an average, I think it was, of 87. So you heard it here first. We'll lock him in nice and early for next year.
Isn't this the fun of what Supercoach does, though, and having a podcast? It allows people to keep receipts. And I love it. Mm-hmm. And I love that Herbie calls himself out. We call ourselves out. We have bants along the whole year. I love how it changes week by week as well. You can get in a slugfest with your mates about a particular player. You're right that weekend, and all of a sudden you're wrong the weekend after, and it's brought straight back up again. And nobody looks at the big picture. It's just week by week. But yeah, no, look, we thank Herbie massively for the content that he's brought us. He jumped in early with us on the podcast. No doubt he will jump in at a different point and bring us plenty of humor. And as you said, the 7-Eleven quote is one that will live on in the absolute legacy that is Insight Fantasy Sport for sure.
Now, Justin, if you're still in the chat, mate, I want to see you in the comments. Is it Bobby or Ian Hill? Which one was it that played a nice small forward role for the Magpies this year? Let us know, mate. But here, there's something else we want to bring up, Robbie. Phil, more busts in his Supercoach team than Baywatch in 1993.
There's a lot of busts, to be totally honest.
Oh, mate, that still gets a good run on the VHS, mate, let me tell you.
It's the old DVD. If he found one, it's a bit scratchy at a certain point.
No, I'd be pretty sticky, that's for sure.
It's Bobby. It's Bobby. He knew who we talked about. And look, if we're talking about bust, and I want to move to positive because it wasn't all negative, but if we're going to talk negative, I stand by, and I think I swallowed my words by round 2. And I'm glad that a fellow Hawthorn legend, I'm not a Hawthorn legend, but a fellow Hawthorn supporter or Hawthorn legend in Jordan Lewis, he did the same thing. We both left Collingwood out of the 8 this year. And we both realised within maybe 1 round, if not 2, that Collingwood were definitely the team to beat in this year. But Bobby Hill, he's actually a funny one that we talked about week on week. 1 week he didn't kick a goal. The next week, I think he kicked 3 to start the season. And don't you, Justin Herbie was letting me know about it every week, which it's good fun. Love it.
No,
Love it.
Love that banter.
Mate, so who are you tipping tonight? You're tipping the D's to beat the T's to beat the Pies?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that Collingwood have brought in Cox. They've kept Cameron. They've dropped who I believe is one of Collingwood's better small backs in John Noble.
Yep.
For no other reason than, I don't know. With Murphy coming back, with Moore coming back, they're 2 bigger backs, which is all well and good, but the ball's going to be on the ground a lot. It's shit weather here in Victoria today. it'll rain during tonight's game. So you need your small forwards to lock up. Like Fritsch plays well below his knees. Cozzy Pickett, I think, is going to have a bit of an X factor tonight. He's going to be a key to the D's winning this game. They just need more smalls, and that move, it just bewilders me.
I don't understand the double talls. That's the one when you could still
No.
when it's that wet, you could throw a McStay in the ruck just to get a bit of hand on ball, get a bit of contest, play him up the ground. That to me doesn't make sense. You've also chosen Markov over a Noble. Markov being real dash and speed, which I don't mind, but you're gonna want Noble's kick. You're gonna want Noble's kick in this kind of conditions as well.
I love that you've brought that up. Dash and run, awesome, but it's wet. It's slippery. Yeah. You're going to get 10 meters out of him, and then he's going to have to kick it. Why wouldn't you just put a better user of the ball in anyway?
Yeah, look, we'll see what happens. Now, we talk about trademarks, and don't click on it yet. I can see that you want to click on it. Don't do it just yet. Hold the dot. I used to like when I was the only one that had control of clicking, and then we had a thing going. We talk about comments that will live on in the history. And we've only had one season of AFL. We talked about Justin Herbert with the 7-11 lifting of LDU, but one that got a really good run was over this man, Ollie Wines, and you telling everyone to hold out and hold out and hold out because he always finishes the second half strong. And then you, the big horse, let out this ripper.
Toot, toot.
Good times. It's good times. I love that we can look back on it. I still think there's some merchandise coming for sure.
After that, there were times where, was it the game after we made that call? He was on 41 at 3/4 time, and you said yourself, I was about to text you, and he ended up on 100. I believe that he averaged 100 for the rest of the year. Like some games 90, some games 120. He did all right. Like for his price, he was $390 when we picked him up. He definitely did his job.
Mate, we had an episode solely, or not a whole episode, but we had a segment which was solely on if Ollie Wines could put his fourth quarter efforts into a bloody whole game effort, he's going to score 220. And I think he started to go on a bit of a run after that one, which was good to see. So, yeah, no, it's good. It's good that there's some good bands, there's some memories. I've really enjoyed the year. It's been a lot of fun. I can't wait for preseason next year already. The 1 week bye for me just reminds me of how sad I'm going to be after grand final week. I know there's so many other sports and so many other things that we're going to do, but I just love football on my weekends. I just love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a tradition. Yep.
I was thinking Nathan Brain is going to be wetter than when 2K drops at midnight. 10 p.m. here in WA. Woo!
We'll still be awake. It's a yearly tradition for us now, isn't it? We just stay up, get in the chat, talk shit for a couple of hours. It's it's the inner nerd in us coming out, but we enjoy it. We love it, and it's good banter.
I've heard there's some pretty big downloads that need to be done, so I'll be I've switched it on right now to sort of get that bad boy going. But mate, can't wait for the drop. Can't wait to have my Spud player to begin with, so I can blame him for all the missed shots. Definitely not my timing. And then look forward to jumping in with the squad. We'll move on, and then I'll get to Maddie's comment in a little bit, which makes me a little bit nervous with the next NBL pod coming up. St Kilda versus GWS. St Kilda's outs: Jack Hayes, Liam Stocker, Ryan Burns. In comes Max King and Seb Ross. Some big ins. Outs for the Giants: Nick Haynes, Ryan Engwin, and Toby McMullen. In comes also big ins: Finn Callahan and Sam Taylor. MCG, St Kilda versus GWS. Who you got, mate?
I'm going the Saints. I think their defensive style will hold up pretty well against GWS. GWS's game is the run and gun game. They got it going after, I think it was round 8. They were sitting at 2-6 and then came home really strong, which is awesome. But against a team like St Kilda that like to stack their back line and be calculated moving forward, I think they'll just get the job done.
Yeah, with Max King in the side and the double whammy up forward, I've got the Saints getting this job done. I think it'll be a good game. But I was going to ask this because I haven't got the footy on yet. I was going to go, are Collingwood going to pull a Swifty? Because surely this doesn't match up. Justin's just dropped a little bit of herd. Noble was on the field pre-game. Surely takes Cox's spot. I wonder if they're going to pull a little Swifty on finals time, and it wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me at all.
It would make sense. Yep.
Talking about Yeah, Robbie did skip over Friday's game. My bad, mate. I'll come back, Phil. Apologies. That's all right. It's good to see people listening, just testing.
Before we go back to Friday's game, if we've
right.
got Mason listening in, we need you to contact us, mate. The winner of our Insight Fantasy Group on Supercoach AFL with the team This Is the Way, he ended up finishing 60th overall. So, Mason, if you're in the chat, if you're watching us live here, please send us an email. Get in touch with us at Insight Fantasy Sports on Twitter. We have a nice, shiny Supercoach ring all for you, mate. Congratulations.
And as they say, if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Well, he likes it, and he's going to be getting it. So congratulations. Well done. I did skip over Friday's game. It's because the matrix has thrown me off a little bit and made me scroll. He's just letting me know he's popped on to let the Hawk, which is myself, know that he hasn't done any NBL notes for our show coming up. Well, that's lucky that I carry you on my shoulders, mate, just like LDU carries out and pushes out a couple of 7-Elevens. So, mate, I've got the notes ready to go. You just answer the questions like the good legend and expert that you are, my friend. We move on to Friday night's game, the Blue Baggers versus the Sydney Swans. See, I deliberately left it. I wanted to make sure Phil had to just hang on just that little bit longer. I thought I'd talk about his more favoured team, the GWS Giants. That'll get a comment in the comments. Don't you worry. Now, Carlton v Sydney, Mark Pidnett, Paddy Cripps, and Sam Doherty. If you wanted to talk about three big ins, doesn't get much bigger than those three. Interesting outs: Durden, Hollands, Paddy Dow, and Zach Fisher. In for the Sydney Swans, Justin McInerney, Lewis Melican, and Tom Papali. Out goes Aaron Francis, Dylan Stevens, Robbie Fox, and Ryan Clark. Does the bandwagon continue, or does Phil's Swans do the job?
Yep. Phil's Swannies get the job. I want to say Carlton by 120 because Phil's listening. But if I'm being honest, I think Swans get the job done. Did you say Ryan Clark is in?
Ryan Clark is omitted.
Omitted. Okay. I don't mind that. I reckon the bigger bodies like Luke Parker and so forth aren't too bad against Carlton's bigger midfield. Sydney just. Paddy Dow, he's played his last game at Carlton. He'll be at North Melbourne next year. He will get traded. You've heard it here first. They've dropped Hollands. He's played all year. He's one of the best two-way runners that they have, or if not in the AFL. I know he's a rookie, but fuck me, you've got to persist with him.
You get some sad stories like this, don't you? And you get the Vossi coming out in the press and sort of talk about, it takes a squad to get to where you are. And we all know that. It takes a squad to get us through to the next phases if we're lucky to push through further into the finals. But, yeah, players like this, sadly, are the ones that just happen to miss out, aren't they? All of a sudden, everyone's fit, everyone's firing, and you've got a squad to pick from. It just makes it a little bit different. But, yeah, I don't know who to pick in this one. I'll say that Carlton are going to get the job done. I think Carlton get the job done. I think they've shown enough form coming in. That'll keep Phil happy as well, because anytime that we say the Swans are going to get done, they normally win. So he's going to be mad at you because you've picked them and you've put the mockers on them now the other way around. But Swans to play two defenders on Charlie Curnow and leave Harry Mackay to kick as many behinds as he likes. Mate, I tell you what, be careful to poke the bear. Phil says he keeps receipts. I know who's keeping his receipts, and that is Damien Carroll. Will be keeping that receipt.
Damo, yes.
I had to make sure I put it on there so that it could actually be here and someone could come back and take the screenshot, or Nathan Brain can do one of his fantastic clips that he does. Phil's keeping receipts, Damo. You're going to be keeping yours back. You're welcome. Brought to you by Insight Fantasy Sport Podcast.
Do you know what? I reckon Matrix is already 6 beers deep.
Mate, you know what? We have one of his mates and a fellow NBL expert coming on in tonight's show. I feel like I'm going to be stuck watching the US Open, doing these ones between the two of them, asking questions between Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless is what I feel like I'm going to be in between tonight.
So that's an episode, once it does drop, that I want our viewers to listen into, because this special guest that we have, I'm not going to wreck it, but he has experience in the NBL and played a lot of NBL 1. So very smart behind-the-scenes person he is.
Mate, I'm telling you now, the chat that we have on the Discord and the chat that we have, I literally have to cut and paste it and take it across to the Discord, because the chat that these two have been having on Instant Messenger, I've literally said, you know what, boys, I'm just going to prepare questions and you two can just go at it. So I'm really actually looking forward to it. And it's good bants, but I tell you what, it's some expertise as well. And there's a lot of people out there who are building their team for the first time. This
That's
guy's
right.
finished top 10 in fantasy before. He knows what he's talking about. And I tell you what, Matrix likes to think he has some pretty big kahunas. He's not going to back down. He's going to say that he knows all. We'll see what happens. I look forward to it. We should get to the last game, mate. We should get to the last game. We make sure everybody can get out of here before the game starts. Who's the best Charlie playing this weekend? And
we need to address this, yeah. Who is the best Charlie playing this weekend, and why is it Charlie Cameron? I hope Charlie Dixon's playing.
2 All-Australians, Charlie Curnow and Charlie Cameron. So, I mean, there's a case. There's a case. I mean, didn't Charlie Cameron kick over 50 goals as a small forward this year? It's not a bad effort.
Well, last year, I think he did. Yeah, I'm not sure if he got that many this year.
Stuck in the past. People let me know that. There's Perth time, mate.
Right.
That's what happens.
That's
Can't blame me. Brain, should I pick Cotton or Creek? I'll tell you what, mate. You can wait 24 hours and we'll answer all your NBL needs. But for right now, this is the final AFL podcast. We're going to make sure we get out every goddamn word we can before bounce down.
Yeah. Dylan Brown, Braino.
Mate, last game, and then we can finish up with a couple of wrap-ups and wrap up this season beautifully. We've got to talk about the Brisbane Lions and Charlie Cameron himself versus Port Adelaide at the Gabba, it must be said. In comes Lincoln McCarthy. Out goes Jared Lyons, who seems to be number 23, 24 on their team this year. Kai Lohman. In for Port Adelaide is Scott Lysette, Toddy Marshall, and Trent McKenzie. Wait for it. Out goes Francis Evans, Sam Haynes, Tom Jonas. But the big omission is one Travis Boak.
He's out.
I mean, he could be the sub, but he's out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, Brisbane by 6 goals up there.
I think Port are going to really bring. I think Port are going to really bring the pressure, and they'll come out hard.
Yep.
I think Brisbane get the job done. This is a huge game. I'll go out on a whim and say whoever wins this game will be in the grand final. I know a lot of people are getting excited for Brisbane and Collingwood. Melbourne and Collingwood, and I think they are 2 strong sides. But man, these 2 teams play their home ground well, and I think they get the job done at a home ground prelim.
Nice. Yeah, I'm firming for a Brisbane-Melbourne granny.
But then whoever wins this one, the Collingwood-Melbourne, and gets to the grand final, I'm picking them to win it. The disappointment will come with Brisbane and Port if they don't step up at the MCG on the big dance, on the big day. Yeah.
My fear for Collingwood is if they lose tonight, then they have to play the winner of Sydney and Carlton.
Yeah.
And they're the 2 teams that have given Collingwood troubles over the past 2 years.
Surely Collingwood can't go out in straight sets. Surely. Big Dacos back in the next game. Oh, mate. Yeah. Wouldn't that be a story, though? That's a story in itself. That is their game. Like, if they went out in straight sets, people start actually asking about their game style. Is their game style just a fantastic, amazing spectacle to watch in home and away that doesn't hold up in finals? I mean, we're massively speculating. They could come out and win by 5 goals tonight. But if they went out in straight sets, that will be that balance question that I think everybody will start to ask of whether the run and gun can hold up or does that defensive style with a bit of attack. You can't be full defense. I think it's shown that Ross Lyon, it doesn't quite work. How many grand finals has he missed? That offensive team still has to get the job done. Sam Mitchell himself, I watched it at a night that he talked about. He said the one grand final they felt the most confident in that three-peat was the one against Fremantle because they just felt like their offense was always going to be better than their strong defense and they knew they'd kick a bigger score. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting talking point. Mate, we don't have too long to go because we want to make sure everyone can get away and get some bounce downs. I do want to ask you one more question that I'm sure everybody's thinking about, and everybody wants to put a little bit of this too, given the dollar signs for anyone that listens to our podcast later on. Who's winning the Brownlow?
Bontempelli. Yeah, I think Dacos is leading up until round 16, and then he doesn't poll another vote. And then Bontempelli comes home strong and knocks him over. I think the top 3 are Bontempelli, Dacos, and let's say Lockie Neal.
Lockie Neal. That's an interesting one. I think I do.
There's too many taken votes off Petrarca.
I like the Bontempelli and Dacos Quinella. I think that's the way it goes. I think Bont has him covered just before the injury, so I don't think the injury becomes the factor. Especially after seeing Tom Liberatore miss out on the All-Australian. I think that'll also translate to 3 votes, 2 votes throughout the season. I think Tim English had a great year, but I don't think that will translate to as many votes. Bontempelli stands out. He gets the touches. He gets the goals. It'll be a Cripper like Brownlow when Cripper won it for Carlton. I think he just pulls a lot of 3s and even a lot of 2s and some losses for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. And for the flag, let's tip Melbourne.
I'm gonna stay with the Pies. I think I have to sort of cover my ass as well and go, well, you know what? At least come finals time, I picked them for the grandy. But I think tonight will be a test due to the weather. But I think most times more than not, we get a very nice grand final day. I think they can travel. As I just said, that I'm sort of contradicting myself a little bit because if they do lose tonight, I just said one of the other teams that can win. But I think Collingwood is the only one that could go to Port or to go to the Gabba and win there. Melbourne, I don't think they will. So Melbourne have to get the job done tonight. Other than that, I'm picking the Pies.
Yep, I agree.
Mate, it has been an absolute pleasure. I've got to give out a few shout-outs first. I want to give you a word first, and then I might wrap us up from there. How would you like to go next?
I'm not crying. You're crying. It's the hay fever. But for me, like this has been awesome. Our first full year of doing AFL Supercoach. We've started basically fresh, no followers, no real out there in the social media world. And to build what we have with the supporters, with our viewers, with our fan base that we have, it's been awesome. Like for me, I've played footy pretty much my whole life from when I was 10 right through to last year. So it's always been footy, training Tuesday nights, training Thursday nights, games Saturdays, getting blind Saturday nights, hungover Sunday, rinse and repeat all year. Now I get to be involved in footy, but to another degree where I can spend this time talking footy, talk with people over social media. So I'm still getting my footy fix, but still being able to spend time with the family as well. So this is a nice little mix of what we're doing here. So for the people that are stuck with us, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm sure you do as well, mate. We're looking forward to building this into something bigger and better next year. We'll be better equipped with having the full season under our belt. We know sort of how things roll. We'll add a few things next year. We'll take away a few things next year. But stick with us, lads, because we're coming back bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, well said, mate. I think we're going to have the old cliche like any other football team. We're going to have the best preseason and off-season that we've ever had. We're going to be fitter than ever going into our second season. I think you're right. I think we went into this not really knowing what was going to happen. I think one thing that you absolutely left out here is you and I haven't even met in person. So to sit here with you week in, week out, have a couple of chats and all those kind of things, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed it. I can't wait for when we first crack open a beer with each other and talk about the good times of this year and what's to come. I can assure you to everybody, and I thank everybody just like the Big Horse did. Thank you so much. To get this sort of backing, this communication, this Discord, this community that we now have, it absolutely blows me away. To think that I'm wearing a hat of a sponsor who's got behind us, thank you so much. It's been unreal. That same things go out to 24/7 Fitness, Epson and Bendigo, like unbelievable, unreal to sort of have that and to where we're going to go next. So look, to everybody, I could talk about that for an hour of the thanks that we have. Snap Fitness 24 Epson and Bendigo.
I have missed one thing.
Yeah.
I will jump on and do a quick 2-minute pod if Sydney win, because I've got to dress up like how do I put this politically correct? A Sydney supporter and sing the Sydney theme song. So if they win, I'll jump on and do that for Phil.
Let's be honest. We'll be jumping on and doing different things at different points. This is definitely not the end. This is only the beginning. I can't wait to get the preseason out to you all, the strategies, the pieces, our quality, our efforts, everything is only going to raise up to another level because of what you guys have put into this show and what we want to bring to you next year. So personally to you, Mick, thank you for everything you've done, your quality, mate, your stats, you're the stat man, you're the funny man, you're pretty much everything. I just sit here, you make me look good. It's been an absolute pleasure. And for the last time for season 2023, this has been the Insight Fantasy Sport Podcast. Peace out.
See ya.